Hey everybody, welcome in to the video. Today I wanted to talk about one that kind of hits a little closer to home, and it's why I believe that baby boomers and even maybe even the Gen Xers are kind of like the most alcoholic generation. Now, I believe based on this website here that the baby boomers did drink heavily, which also went to Gen X as well. So I just kind of wanted to talk about this and kind of share my thoughts about it. My father was an alcoholic most of his life, and he passed away in 2019 from a heart attack, which possibly could have been because of alcohol. So. But yeah, he died at 55. He was born in 1964. He was born in September of 64. So he was technically a boomer, but he was right at the end. Like the Gen X started in 1965. So I consider him more Gen X, but technically he was still a boomer. So like I said, this one kind of hits home for me. I wanted to talk about it and just kind of give my thoughts about it and why I kind of believe that this happened, why boomers did drink a lot, or even like the early Gen Xers did drink a lot. So I have this article here. It's by Reframe here, and I'm going to read a little bit and kind of give my thoughts to it. So I'm going to first talk about the baby boomers, and then I'll read a little bit of the Gen X, and then kind of give my thoughts about it. So for those wondering which generation drinks the most, we've arrived at the answer: baby boomers. Those born between 1946 to 1964 tend to drink much more than the generations that follow. Research shows that 72% of baby boomers have consumed alcohol in the past month, compared with 65% of Gen Xers and 53% of millennials. Researchers have also noted a steady increase in alcohol use among this generation, particularly among women. Even more alarming, rates of binge drinking, defined as drinking 5 or more drinks in one sitting for men, or 4 or more drinks for women, which that's insane. That's how my father was for a long time in his life, when I was kind of going through my teenage years, are particularly high in the older population. Approximately 20% of adults aged 60 to 64 and around 11% over age 65 report recent binge drinking. Furthermore, a 2021 analysis found that 1 in 20 adults aged 65 or older had alcohol use disorder, AUD, in the past year. One survey determined that in the U.S. between 2001 and 2013, the rate of AUD increased 107% among people 65 and older, which that's crazy. I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, the one before the boomers, it was at the greatest generation, I believe. I think the silent generation was before the greatest generation. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure it's the greatest generation. That's kind of like our grandfathers if you're a millennial. Sadly, the rate of alcohol-induced deaths in 2020 was highest among those aged 55 to 64 for both males and females. So my dad died in 2019, and yeah, he just turned 55 when he passed away. He turned 55 just weeks before he passed. In general, baby boomers are less concerned with overall health and wellness compared to millennials and Gen Z. For instance, Gen Zers and millennials work out, take personalized supplements, and attend regular psychotherapy sessions at higher rates than baby boomers. Their preference for alcohol can also be seen in the low numbers of boomers participating in challenges such as Dry January. According to one survey, 25% of people aged 18 to 34 plan to abstain from drinking during the month, compared to with only 10% of people aged 55 and older. And I believe that's true too. I believe that millennials and Gen Zers are a little bit more aware of kind of like what happens when you drink too much, and the what's the word I'm trying to say? Bad things that can happen with alcoholism. We don't really drink as much, and I'll kind of get into kind of why I think we don't drink as much and why I believe that boomers and Gen Xers did drink as much. So the bottom line, alcohol use is strongest among the older generations, including Generation X and baby boomers. While millennials drink less than previous generations, Generation Z is I can't. Is it ushering a cultural and societal shift by drinking less, choosing not to drink, or pursuing mindful drinking? Yeah, I believe that Gen Z is very careful with their drinking. Maybe it's because they kind of saw how their dads were or their moms were, and they just don't want to go down the road. That road. That's how I was. That's how I was, at least, and I was very. Whatever my dad kind of said when I was younger, I did take a lot of his advice, and I just took it with. I took it to heart, and like he said, hey, don't end up like me, don't drink and don't end up like me, and I said I won't, and I took it to heart. Regardless, if you do hear anything, sorry, my kids are upstairs and I'm not sure if you could hear them. So regardless of what generation we find ourselves in, it's never too late to change our drinking habits. Coming back on alcohol or eliminating it entirely can enhance your mental, physical, and emotional health. Let me see here if there was anything else. So that was the boomers. Let's kind of go and read just a little bit of Generation X here. So Generation X, those born between 1965 and 1980, are heavier drinkers than Gen Zers and Millennials. Research indicates that the percentage of Gen Xers who reported drinking alcohol in the past month increased from 56% in 2002 to 60% in 2014. So this article is from 2025. I believe it's a brand new article from August of 2025, which is like a couple months ago. So not sure if they have recent data, but 2014 is, I guess, not too long ago. But I do believe even in the last 10 years, maybe that might increase just a little bit. So more recently, studies show that 65% of Gen Xers consumed alcohol in the past month compared to 53% of millennials. That's still a lot. Similar to millennials, Generation X has a strong preference for wine. In fact, they purchase more wine than any other generation, including baby boomers, who traditionally were top wine drinkers. One study found that Gen Xers are the largest consumers of wine in the United States, with 48% of Gen Xers reporting that they drink wine at least once a month. Unlike millennials, however, they are less concerned with industry trends and make purchases based on their established tastes and preferences. They tend to value luxury, and they'll spend more money for quality wine compared to millennials. Furthermore, while millennials and Gen Z tend to drink on special occasions or to feel comfortable socializing, Gen Xers tend to use alcohol for relaxation, making them more likely to drink, which also, sadly, relaxation can lead to addiction, sadly, so, and that's where I want to kind of get into why I believe that this is a thing. So like I said, my dad was born between 1964. He was born between that age of 1964 to 1946 and 1964. He was born at the age of the end of 1964. So, if I remember correctly, I think he started drinking maybe when he was in the late teens, and when I was born, he was drinking a lot. He was even drinking heavier. He was drinking a lot of hard liquor, which he did stop right when I was kind of like a baby or maybe 1 or 2 years old. He was drinking a lot of hard liquor and alcohol, but my mom told him to knock it off with the hard liquor. If you are gonna keep your alcohol, at least get rid of the hard liquor. He was really mean when he was drinking the hard liquor. So my dad grew up. I'm not going to say things that happened just based on privacy reasons, but he had a hard childhood. Nothing like severe, when you come to like things of stuff like that, but he had a hard childhood. He didn't grow up in the best household. There was things that his dad did that was not the best when it came to what's the word, moral standards, and just kind of like what things he helped him to do for him or whatever. Like when it came to like I said, I'll say this just so people don't think it's like anything worse or anything, even though this is bad, but my grandfather unfortunately was a womanizer, and what he did with my father was that he would have him go meet up with women to kind of let my grandfather know that he was interested or something like that, and kind of like relate it to my dad and stuff like that. And that's just one of the things that, like, my dad grew up in a bad childhood, even just me right here, I don't like to share that, but that's just kind of like what my grandfather did. And like I said, that's just one of the traumas that my dad suffered with. was just kind of stuff like that he made him do, and that just made he didn't. My dad even expressed to me how he hated doing that. He thought my grandpa was the smartest dumbass there ever was. As in, my grandpa was an anesthesiologist. He was an anesthesiologist, made a lot of money. He actually got accepted to Harvard, but he didn't have enough money to go to Harvard, but he actually did get accepted to Harvard. So, but that's what I mean by, my dad always said that he was the smartest dumb person that I've ever seen in my life. And, but anyway, so my dad growing up had a lot of trauma that he had to deal with. And the reason why I believe that a lot of boomers do drink is because there wasn't a lot of outlet. There wasn't anything type of outlet that a boomer could do. There wasn't, therapy. There probably was, but therapy, like in the '80s, the '70s, there was nothing compared to like how it is now. Basically, back when my dad was growing up, it was either like, suck it up, deal with it, or whatever, or drink. That was kind of like what it was. You didn't have anybody to really talk to. If you did talk to somebody, you were like considered probably like, less than a wuss. Just soft or whatever. You was just basically like, push it down, be a man, don't talk about your feelings. And I believe that back in those days, alcoholism, and I'm sure there were other things that people did, but strongly alcoholism for early Gen Xers and boomers, and even before with the Greatest Generation, and probably even before that, before counseling, healthy medication to take to deal with kind of that stress. That was the only outlet that they had. And my dad, I think after a while, he just started and he did it for social reasons, like how the article said. My dad was kind of just like me, very kind of quiet, very, very to himself, didn't really talk too much or anything like that. Nice guy. He was a very nice guy. He was very, very like a man's man, very man's man, very intimidating, but he was also nice. But he was nice, but when you crossed him, he was very, very intimidating. He was in the military, so maybe he got that kind of like, training and stuff like that from that, maybe, or the discipline. But yeah, I just remember growing up in a household with an alcoholic father, and it wasn't very comfortable. It wasn't, especially for me, just a guy who was because of maybe how my father was, I was very sheltered. I didn't really have a lot of friends. I didn't like talk to a lot of people. I just kind of was a loner for a long time. I had my friends, but I was really to myself. And I think a lot of it does stem from having an alcoholic father. Was just, there was a lot of trauma in the household when it came to, a lot of yelling, a lot of my dad being mean to my brother and I. Like I said, it's just, how like a healthy family, family vacations, going out, hugging, like say, hey, good job, son, I'm proud of you. And he did do that. I knew that he loved me. I'm not saying that, but how like with me and my wife, we like to do that for our daughters all the time, like show them love, compassion all the time. My dad would do it for us like once in a while, you know what I mean? So growing up like that, it was just very, very uncomfortable. There was a lot of times where my mom and my dad were arguing and fighting. Like, we had a 2-story house. I could hear them all the way in the garage. That's how loud they were arguing, if my dad ever did get on us and stuff, my mom tried to, and I think this is just with women and moms in general, tried to stick up for us or whatever. Yeah, it wasn't very fun. It wasn't very fun. My dad had a lot of demons from alcohol, and I think a lot of it tended to change his personality and kind of how he was, and everything. He's, like I said, he's passed on, so I don't want to like give too much information or anything like that, but sadly, just because out of respect, but sadly he became like his father. He was a womanizer. He cheated on my mom a ton, sadly, and a lot of it could be because of alcoholism, but I think a lot of it tended to be also because of how my grandpa was, and I think he took a lot of those traits sadly from my grandpa. And if you aren't careful in your life with that stuff, like generationally, that's why you hear like a lot of people say like, hey, my dad drank, my grandfather drank, so I'm going to drink. You know, you have to put that down, man. You have to say to yourself, I'm not going to be like my grandpa, my father, and I'm going to do better, and I'm going to do better for my kids. I'm not going to end up like that. And I am like that. I don't drink. I don't like to drink really. Like, I think it's disgusting. I drink maybe once or twice a year with my wife. That's it. Um but yeah, like I said, you have to kind of be that person that stops the generation of all those countless times of bad decisions based on that. Like I said, I don't like to give personal informations, but I think if it could help somebody, then I'll do it. So, but yeah, my dad had a lot of struggles and a lot of hardships growing up, and I think sadly he tried to mask that with alcoholism. And like I said, it was a different time. It was a different time. There wasn't a lot of counseling for, and if there was, you were basically considered weak as a man if you did go to counseling, if you did try to do something else. My dad also did it for social reason, I think, too. He just could. I think he wanted to make sure that he could kind of be social around people, and when he drank and stuff, they used to have a lot of parties. They used to like have a lot of friends over in the neighborhood come over and stuff, and they drank too. They were all boomers and early Gen Xers too, so it could just be just a thing that sadly that they did a lot because they were either trying to mask and hide from their problems, or they were trying to be social. And I growing up, honestly, I thought I was the only one that had this problem. Like, I thought, man, I just wish that, you know, my dad could be just kind of like how my other friends' dads were, or something like that. I don't like saying that. I love my dad. I miss him. I miss him all the time. I wish he was still here to see my kids. I wish he was still here I could talk to. I miss him all the time. He did get better as the years went by with his alcohol. When I was like a teenager, he would drink like 12, 13 beers a day. Like that, like a day, or at least on the weekend. Like on the weekday, he had to work and stuff, so maybe he would do like 6 or 8. But he would do like 12 on the weekend. That's a lot. That's a lot. But anyway, I didn't realize that some of my friends also had alcoholic fathers, and I didn't even know about it. I'm just like, oh wow, you have and then I started like talking to other people. Their dads or their mom also had alcoholic problems. It was a big thing for, you know, millennials growing up. It's like, oh, like I didn't realize that all of our, like, not all, but a lot of our parents were drinkers, and it's crazy. I think a lot of them were just trying to mask a lot of hardships and a lot of bad feelings. And let me know in the comments if you have had this experience as well. So, like I said, it really was a hard time kind of growing up sometimes, especially when my dad was a heavy drinker, or just when he wasn't drinking. Well, when he wasn't drinking, he was a great guy. I loved being around my dad because he was calm. Had a good spirit. You could talk to him. But when he started drinking, he basically all he wanted to do was just get on his phone and watch the Arizona Diamondback games, or NASCAR, or you know, just whatever, the Cardinals games. He just kind of just wanted to just, you know, drink his beer and watch the game. That's just kind of and just listen to rock music. You know, you would just blast rock music in the living room and stuff, and just be on his computer, probably doing what I mentioned earlier about talking to women and stuff. So, like I said, it's sad that happened. Like I said, mixed on a base of alcohol and how he grew up, seeing what his dad did is kind of probably why he started doing that. And it's sad. But yeah, they didn't have they didn't have an outlet. They didn't have a lot of ways to mask that. Nowadays, with millennials and Gen Zers, we have you know, prescription medication that, when used the right way, can be powerful. I'm on something because I have OCD, like not the cleaning one, but I have OCD, and once I take my medicine and everything like that, you know, I'm very calm. I'm very I can handle my emotions better. With OCD, it's very, very tough sometimes. You're very stressed out a lot sometimes. So, but with medication, I've taken counseling. My life has just improved so much in the last couple of years since I first started taking it. But yeah, there wasn't a lot of things that they could do. All they could really do was drink. They couldn't talk about their feelings. They couldn't talk about their feelings to their friends, their counselor, maybe even their parents. So a lot of them chose that, sadly. So yeah, if you are Gen Z or if you are Gen X or anybody drinking, just just be careful. I don't Drinking is okay, but be careful with it because it could lead to addiction. It could lead to bad things. You know what I mean? So just be careful with it. So I did want to talk about this because it did kind of hit a little home. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Before I go, I wanted to kind of start doing something. I didn't know how many times I would do this, but I wanted to do something at the end of my videos that kind of makes awareness for missing persons. I know it's random, but if we could find just one person that's missing from my videos or something like that, I think it will make all the difference in the world, and it will all be worth it. Just to at least put their names out there and information and everything like that. So, like I said, I know it's random, but I would like to maybe try to like I said, I have 3 girls, and if one of them went missing or my wife went missing, I don't know what I would do with myself. You know what I mean? It's one of the saddest things. So I'm going to show a picture here. This is Amina and Bilal Kandil. They've been missing since 2014. So this is kind of like what they would look like now based on the pictures, enhanced pictures. But yeah, she's been missing since 2014, and he's also been missing. I think they're brother and sister. So the children were last seen on August 30th, 2014 in the company of their father, Ahmed, leaving the United States on a flight from John F. Kennedy International Airport in New York, bound for Ukraine and then Turkey. So they could be living in Egypt or Cairo or even the regions of Turkey. So I believe that's the father right there. Submit a tip. Anyone with information about the location of those 2 children is asked to contact the FBI Norfolk Field Office at 757-455-0100, or you can go to tips.fbi.gov or the National Center for Missing Person and Exploited Children at 1-800-843-5678. You could also contact 911, the FBI, or anything and they can maybe help you out as well. But yeah, there they are right there. That's kind of maybe what they would look like. And there's the father right there. That doesn't show like an enhanced photo of maybe what he looks like now. So, but anyway, like I said, if we could find even just one person, just by me just spreading this real quick to my subscribers or just anybody that sees this, I think that it will all be worth it. You know, it's just something that, there's shows like America's Most Wanted, Unsolved Mysteries, and stuff like that, which Unsolved Mysteries with Robert Stack is my favorite show of all time. So a lot of my inspiration comes from Robert Stack and wanting to help this. Like I said, I have 3 kids, and I would not know what to do ever. It would just kill me if any of my family members went missing. So, but yeah, if you know anything about where these people might be, contact the numbers I said, or go online and try to see if there's anything for you guys too. But anyway, guys, that's the video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I love seeing comments from you guys. I love seeing all the engagement. So if you have gone through this yourself, I would love to hear about it. If you have struggled with that as well. So like the video. It helps YouTube kind of see that other people are liking it, and maybe it'll push it to other people, and maybe we can spread the word about alcoholism and even finding these kids. So like the video if you liked it, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take care, guys. Bye.